أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المنتجبين. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: وأن هذه أمتكم أمة واحدة وأنا ربكم فاعبدون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. All Muslims, despite their school of thought, which school of thought they follow, they all worship the same God. They face the same qibla in salah. They pray 5 times a day. They fast during the month of Ramadan. They go to Hajj to the same city of Mecca and revolve around the same house of God, the Kaaba. They believe in the same prophet and they read the same exact Quran. We Muslims, with the various sects and schools of thought, we have more in common than we have our differences. We agree upon more principles and values than what we disagree upon. The Quran, from the beginning till the end, encourages Muslims to stand together, to unite, not to be divided, not to allow voices of disunity arise amongst our ranks, rather to gather and unite. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. In another verse, وَلَا تَنَازَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. And do not argue. When you argue, you will fail. You will not succeed. And you will not be victorious. And in another verse, the verse that I began with, وَأَنَّ هَذِهِ أُمَّتُكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. This is one ummah, one nation. وَأَنَا رَبُّكُمْ فَاعْبُدُونَ. And I am your Lord, so worship me altogether. You're one. Despite your differences, you're still one nation. You're one family. Family members, they might disagree with one another, but at the end of the day, they remain family members. No matter how much they disagree with one another, and they're entitled to different opinions, but they remain one family. A family respects each other, they stand for each other, they protect one another, they provide for one another, they stand with each other at the times of need. This ummah is like one family. It's like one body. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would say, إن المسلمين في توادهم وتراحمهم كالجسد الواحد إذا اشتكى منه عضو تداعى سائر الجسد بالسهر والحمى. That this nation, Muslims, the Muslim nation, is like one body. One body. If your body parts, one of your body parts is in pain, the entire body has to suffer. If you have a toothache, you cannot sleep, your entire body has to pay the price for the pain of one organ. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. We as Muslims living in the West, Sunni and Shia, we have different schools of thought, yes. But at the same time, we face the same challenges. We face the same issues. We face the same problems. We all face one challenge, and that is that the name of Islam and the image of Islam has been ruined. We face the same challenge, and that challenge is called Islamophobia. Islamophobia targets Sunnis and Shia alike. They don't make a difference between Sunnis and Shia. Islamophobes, those who are Islamophobic, they could care less whether you're Sunni or you're Shia. You're a Muslim, and they will target you for your Islam. Islamophobes who wish to take away our rights, the right of hijab, the right of entry, the right of immigration. They wish to ban Muslims from these countries. They could care less whether you're Sunni or you're Shia. Thus, our challenges are the same, Sunnis and Shia. The obstacles that we face in these countries, they're the one and the same. That means we cannot be divided. We cannot risk being divided because we face the same challenge and we face the same enemy. So why should we be divided? Why should we busy ourselves with petty issues? Issues that will not take us anywhere while others are working against us. Others are working to ban us from entering our homes and our countries and stripping us from our rights. We face the same issues. That should tell us that we should work together and come together. Since we face the same challenges, we need to put our hands hand in hand, work together to overcome these challenges that they will affect my children as a Shi'i and they will affect the children of a Sunni alike. Regardless of our sect and school of thought, we face the same issues. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. As we talk about our series for the next couple of nights, the series of Islamic activism in the West, last night we talked about interfaith dialogue, the need for interfaith dialogue, to engage with dialogue with Christians, Jews, and members of other religions. Tonight, I'd like to emphasize on something, on a dialogue that is not any less important than interfaith dialogue, and that is intrafaith dialogue. What is intrafaith dialogue? Interfaith dialogue is dialogue between Muslims and other religions. Different religions, they come together and they have a dialogue. This is called interfaith. Intrafaith is dialogue between members of the same religion. Muslims having dialogue, this is called intrafaith. Christians having dialogue amongst themselves, Catholics and Protestants, for example, this is called intrafaith. Interfaith dialogue is very important. Sunnis and Shia having dialogue with one another, sitting together, having discussions, visiting one another. Sunnis visit Shia mosques and Shias visit Sunni mosques. They exchange visits. This is something very important. There are some that only emphasize on interfaith and not intrafaith. There are some that are willing to visit churches and they are willing to visit synagogues and they are willing to visit temples, but you come and tell them visit a Shi'i mosque, they say no, a'udhu billah. A Shi'i mosque I will not go to. Why? Aren't we Muslim? Aren't we all Muslim? There are some countries, you see them, they hold interfaith conferences. They will bring the Pope and they will bring members of all religions and they call for interfaith, but Shia in their country are persecuted. They're not allowed to have their mosques. They're deported within 24 hours only for being Shia. This is a hypocrisy. If you're willing to hold interfaith dialogue, you should be more willing to hold what? Intrafaith dialogue. If you're willing to sit with members of other religions and have a dialogue with them and sit with them and visit their places of worship and allow them to visit your places of worship, you must be more willing to sit with members of your own religion, of your own faith. So interfaith dialogue, my dear friends, is something very, very important. And as we talked about interfaith dialogue yesterday, what is the point of dialogue? Interfaith and intrafaith dialogue. What is the point? The point is to understand one another. To understand one another. And to work with one another. And cooperate with one another for ultimate goals. For higher goals. Because as we said, we face the same challenges. and the same problems. How can we overcome these challenges? By working together for a greater interest. An interest that looks for the well-being of my children and my grandchildren and your grandchildren for the next 30 years, for the next 50 years. Intrafaith, just like interfaith, for those of you that were here yesterday, we talked about this. Intrafaith, just like interfaith, the goal is not to try to convert one another. No. When I promote intrafaith dialogue, I don't want the Sunnis to become Shia. If they wish to become Shia, this is wonderful. This is excellent. We will embrace them with open arms. But the goal of intrafaith is not to get them to convert. Alaykum as-salam. Is not to get them to convert. Rather, to understand one another. Because we have misconceptions. We have misconceptions. There are certain things about the Shi'i school of thought that are ununderstood, not understood, misunderstood. And there are things in the Sunni school of thought that are misunderstood. We come together and we explain the principles of our school of thought. This is what we believe in. There are some that believe that the Shia, they pray on when we pray on stones, the turba that we use, some say that we worship these stones. They believe that we worship these stones. Well, if you don't sit with another Shi'i and you don't have a dialogue, you will continue for the next 100 years believing that Shia worship stones. The purpose of dialogue is to have these misunderstandings dissolve and go away. When you sit together, when you exchange visits, when Shias visit a Sunni mosque, when Sunnis visit a Shi'i mosque, they sit, they eat together, they socialize together, they throw events together, their misunderstandings will dissolve. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. There is so much that we could do together and cooperate. We can exchange speakers. Yes. We have our speaker visit their mosque and their speaker may visit us. Our youth can work together and have weekly or monthly or bi-monthly events. There are sport events. They can hold together Shi'i mosques with Sunni mosques. They come together for sport events, for conferences, for seminars, for Eid gatherings. This is very important. Why? Because the challenges that we face today do not face only the Shia community, nor do they face only the Sunni community. We're all in the same boat. If this boat sinks, we all go down. We all drown. It's not only the Shia drown, or nor only the Sunnis. We will all drown together. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. A man comes to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He tells him, Yabna Rasulullah, we are Shia. How should we behave with non-Shia? How should we behave with our Sunni brothers and sisters? Should we live in our own cave? Should we distance ourselves and only mingle with other Shia? What should we do with our Sunni neighbors, our Sunni friends? What do we do? He says, قلت له كيف أصنع كيف ينبغي لنا أن نصنع فيما بيننا وبين قومنا وما بين خلطائنا من الناس مما ليسوا على أمرنا. Meaning those that are not Shia, how should we deal with them? Should we socialize with them, or should we live in our own bubble and have them distance ourselves from them? The Imam said, تنظرون إلى أئمتكم الذين تقتدون بهم فتصنعون ما يصنعون. Look at your Imams. See how your Imams behave and learn from your Imams. How did our Imams behave? He said, فوالله إنهم ليعودون مرضاهم. The Imams ليعودون مرضاهم. They visit the sick. Shia Imams, they visit the sick of their Sunni brothers and sisters. If there's someone ill, they visit them. If they have someone in the hospital, they go and they visit them. وَيَشْهَدُونَ جَنَائِزَهُمْ. If there's a janazah, if there's a dead body being taken to the cemetery, they go, they participate in the janazah. وَيَشْهَدُونَ جَنَائِزَهُمْ وَيُقِيمُونَ الشَّهَادَةَ لَهُمْ وَعَلَيْهِمْ. And if they are asked to come to the court and testify, they go and they testify. وَيُقِيمُونَ الشَّهَادَةَ لَهُمْ وَعَلَيْهِمْ وَيُؤَدُّونَ الْأَمَانَةَ إِلَيْهِمْ. And if they are given, if they are trusted with money, with anything, they give it back to them. What does this mean? This means that we as Shia, we should socialize with our Sunni brothers and sisters. We should not build walls around us and say that we will only mingle and socialize with our Shi'i friends and that's it. No, this was not how Imam Sadiq was. This is not what Imam Sadiq teaches his companions. In another hadith, he says, "Ishhadu jana'izahum wa'udu mardahum wa'addu huquqahum sallu fi masajidihim." Go to their mosques. Pray with them, eat with them. If someone from them dies, go and participate in his janazah. If they ask you to go to court with them. Mingle with them, socialize with them. This is how we let people know the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt. How else will the world know the akhlaq of the Ahlul Bayt and the followers of Ahlul Bayt? How? By building walls around us and not socializing with others, or by extending our hands to others, visiting others and allowing them to visit us, to socialize with others. This is very important, my dear friends. This is very important. The only way we will allow people to discover the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt is if we implement the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt. When you and me and others at school, at home, in the workplace, when we implement the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt, people will discover what jewels the Ahlul Bayt were. Yes, the Ahlul Bayt had akhlaq. Their counterparts, their enemies did not have akhlaq. In the Battle of Siffin, the army of Muawiyah, they took over the river of Euphrates, Al-Furat. They took over the river. The army of Amir al-Mu'mineen did not have access to the river. They wanted water for themselves and their horses. The army of Muawiyah did not allow them access to water. Amir al-Mu'mineen told them, listen, the only way you want water is that we fight. We have to fight. And they did. The army of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, they fought and they took over the water. Now when they took over the water, Muawiyah's soldiers were in need of what? Now it was their turn to taste thirst. They needed water. So some of the companions of Imam Ali, they said, let them taste thirst the same way that they made us taste thirst. The same way that they made us go thirsty, let's forbid them from water. What did Amir al-Mu'mineen say? He said, أبدا. إني لا أفعل ما يفعله الجاهلون. If the arrogant, they forbade us from water, I will not commit the same mistake. Otherwise, what's the difference between Ali and Muawiyah? What's the difference between the army of Ali ibn Abi Talib and the army of Muawiyah if they wish to do the same? This is the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt. And subhanallah, several years later, the children of both armies, the children of the army of Muawiyah and the children of the army of Ali ibn Abi Talib, they met in Karbala. And the same thing occurred. The army of Yazid, they captured the river of Euphrates, the same river, and they did not allow the water to arrive to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That's why the last 3 days before Ashura, starting from the 7th, 8th, 9th, and then the 10th, the army of Imam Hussein did not have water. Men, women, children, and even infants. They started suffering from thirst. This is the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt, and this is the akhlaq of their enemies. Let's make sure that we deliver the true akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt. We give a good image and a good picture of the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.